If you are currently following a weight loss plan, stop. Hey, what's up? My name is Schuyler. I'm the founder of Reach Fat Loss and Fitness, where our goal is to help you lose weight and keep it off, and do it without counting calories, weighing all your food, without any torturous cardio or sucky dieting, and without eating 5 or 6 times a day. What we are going to talk about in this video, as well as all the other videos that I've put out, has helped clients of mine lose weight and keep it off, and most importantly, feel really good both while they're doing it and when they've hit their goal. And my goal of putting out these videos is to help you do the same. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you tap that subscribe button. I'd love to have you as part of the community because we're putting out new videos every single week. Now, here's the deal. You've probably seen that the clients that I've worked with, their results that they've gotten losing weight, and they're obviously in my weight loss program, and you think I'm being hypocritical, but hear me out. So a plan is defined as a detailed proposal for doing or achieving something, right? And while that may sound good with first instinct, if we look at that word detailed, there are some things here that are a yellow flag, right? And so if you're watching this video, there's a high chance that you've tried certain weight loss effects, weight loss plans in the past that haven't worked out for you. I want you to take a moment and think about why. You know, have you lost the weight and then gained it back? Did you not even lose the weight? When you were on the plan, how long did it last? When you slipped up with the plan, how much easier was it to give up altogether? And the reason is because when you follow a plan and when someone hands you a plan to follow, there are honestly 3 big things that happen that lead to a higher chance of failure. And that first thing is that you don't learn much, right? If someone gives you a plan, if someone gives you a map, you basically follow that plan as well as you can, but you don't necessarily understand why. You know, I grew up in the age where right as I started to drive, people started getting GPSs and people started getting ways to navigate without looking at a map. And I can undoubtedly tell you it takes me so much longer to remember and learn a specific route that I have to drive somewhere because I'm not paying attention. I'm looking at my map. When it tells me to turn left, I turn left. When it tells me to turn right, I turn right, which is great because it gets me to where I want to go. But if I ever need to get there, or if I want to stay there, or if there's ever a longer distance that I want to travel, I now necessarily don't have the tools to actually continue to get there. And so there's this issue that when you're blindly following a plan, you don't really have this chance to change internally. You're more likely to just blindly follow, and then when the plan runs out or you can't be perfect with the plan, you're more likely to fall apart. And that leads me into number 2, which is it is much more difficult pivoting and going with the waves of life if you are following a detailed plan. You know, think about it. Any diet where there's restrictive rules of what you can or can't eat, if it says you can't eat carbs, you can't eat rice, you can't eat pasta, you can't eat sweets or sugar, while you can probably sustain that for a little bit, let's say you go to a wedding where you don't know what they're putting in their food, or you go to an event where there's tons of sweets around and there's not really many high quality options. Or in another case, let's say that your plan involves counting every calorie, weighing your food. Again, if you go out to eat, you go to an event, it's going to be much more difficult to follow. And for most people, they have that all or nothing mentality where if I can follow it, great, I'm going to do it. And if I can't, I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and I'm just going to do whatever I want. And this is why plans can be iffy, right? If a GPS tells me I have to turn left, but then I get to that street and there's a roadblock there, I'm going to be a little confused figuring out how to get back on trail until that GPS recalculates. And with plans, we don't have that convenience of being able to immediately have that next step when we do have to pivot. So before we move into point number 3, if you could leave me a comment, what plan, what weight loss strategy have you had the most success with so far? I'd love to hear from you down below. This leads me into number 3, which is honestly a big problem, is that these weight loss plans cause you to stop listening to your body. Look, the truth is every single one of us is different. Every single one of us responds to different foods differently. Our insulin changes depending on certain foods. Our hunger changes on certain foods. And while there are guidelines for how to eat, telling someone to follow this specific plan doesn't account into who they are. And so if you're going to take a plan and execute, there's a high probability you're going to ignore how your body responds. I had an incident a while back where I was eating dates, the fruit, and 30 minutes later, I would be exhausted. And for like 3, 4, or 5 days, I didn't really know what was causing it. I was just getting super tired. I would have to lay down on my floor and take like a 5, 10, 15-minute nap. And after playing around with foods and testing it, I realized that the dates were causing that. Now, by a standard weight loss plan, dates are probably fine. Maybe they're a little bit high in sugar, but they're fruit, they're real food. And so for me to eat that and not pay attention to my body and just follow this plan blindly, I would continue to be exhausted without figuring out what my body was trying to tell me. Same thing, if you think that after eating it's normal to have a headache, to be super tired, to be bloated, there is an issue there because it's not. I've worked with clients who have had severe bloating issues, and within 2-3 weeks of working together, because we're very conscious of certain things, they have the ability to have almost zero bloating after they eat. Another example of this is someone out here that was working with another coach in terms of counting calories to lose weight. And a big thing was, well, you have these calories, you have these macros you got to hit every day, so this amount of calories, fats, carbs, proteins. And he told me he had a night where it was like 9 p.m. He opened his phone, and he was short of his calories and his carbs. And so to fill that gap, he literally went to his cupboard, he took 2 pieces of white bread, and he just stuffed it down his throat. Now, while macro coaches may say, well, yeah, he had to hit his macros, that's fine. To me, number one, eating that late when you don't have to is fine. But number two, he wasn't even hungry. He just felt the need to shove that down his throat because he had to hit his targets. And so again, if you're not hungry, maybe you don't need to eat. If you are hungry, maybe you do need to eat. If you get super tired after a certain food, maybe you shouldn't eat that food. These are all things that people avoid and ignore when they start to follow a weight loss plan. So this is why I believe, I'm not going to say don't follow a plan, period, but this is why I believe instead of a plan, it's a really good idea to have a framework, right? To have fences, to have certain rules to follow that can be bent and that can be adjusted based on your lifestyle. This allows you the freedom to move around and to be flexible without actually, quote, breaking the rules. Because what happens when you break rules is you feel bad. What happens when you feel bad? You're more likely to eat garbage. You're more likely to mess up, to skip the gym. You're more likely to be hard on yourself. You're more likely to do things that we want to avoid. And this is what I do with my clients. I do not give an exact meal plan to my clients and tell them you need to follow this. I do not give my clients an exact calorie count and say you need to follow this. I give them rules. I give them fences of, okay, when you eat, these are the ingredients we're looking out for that we want to stray away from. Hit a certain number of fasts a week. I would give them a minimum typically, but we can adjust based on your lifestyle. And then in terms of workouts, yeah, I'll give you a plan, but we can adjust it if you're traveling. We can adjust it if you don't have certain equipment. It's not a one-size-fits-all plan that immediately falls apart if you don't have access to what you normally have access to. And that's what this is all about. So what most people will typically find is that when they want to invest in a weight loss program and they're looking and they're shopping around, is many people buy off of the cheapest program. But unfortunately, the cheapest program is usually more of a cookie cutter program. It's more of a plan, right? It's a meal plan with calories, with food you gotta eat, with specific exercises, and there's no custom ability to the individual. So why I pride myself in my program so much is because we teach you these fences, and then we show you how to use these fences, how to stay within these fences in a way that fits your lifestyle. And of course, that helps you lose weight. So if you're curious a little bit more about what we do, check the link in the description of this video. We've got a free training there that lays out our system. My goal is to help you lose weight and keep it off. And whether you join my program or you keep watching these videos, I'm gonna continue to push to help you do that. But with that being said, make sure if you are not subscribed to the channel, you join the community, you hit subscribe. And of course, as always, make sure to eat smart, move more, sleep deep, and be grateful for this moment. I'll see you in the next video.